Channel 4's Adam Landau is live in Jacksonville Beach with the decibel details. Adam?
Well,
I will sue you, bitch!
It's out here for many reasons, and that's just one of the reasons.
Yeah, put that on the news.
Welcome to Morning Brew on the Orion Talk Radio Network in 1650 AM, Tonawanda, New York. I am your host, Gwen Caldwell. I'm changing the format at Morning Brew a little bit, and we are going to start having regular guests on the show. So today is the first of one of those new shows that we will be having every Monday. It's the Lazy Dissident Show with Lori Frary. So welcome to the show, Lori.
Thanks, Gwen. Thanks. It's a great idea. I'm glad you're doing it.
So, Lori, I think what I want to do today is have you just talk about the program, the overall objective and the vision of the Lazy Dissident.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity right off the bat, because this is a new group. It's a new movement we are creating. It is 100% grassroots. It is unfunded, and we intend to keep it unfunded. We have a group of people who originated this. I was the creator of the name, but the local group of friends that I have in Sarasota, Florida, got together and communicated that, well, it's time that not only we figure out ways to take our country back from a grassroots level, because occupying is not working and Tea Party didn't work, and all of the methods of getting out on the street with signs and banners and all that didn't work.
Lori, can I stop you right there?
Sure.
Can you talk about why you think those things are not working and didn't work?
Well, the reason why they didn't work is not for lack of trying. They didn't work because the government, from the top down, police departments in every state and every city that had Occupy movements, for example, they stepped on their necks. They stopped visible protesting with rubber bullets to hurting people up and arresting hundreds of people. So not only did the method not work to gain momentum, but the Gestapo police departments put an end to it. Plus, the federal government, the Secret Service, created that whole document that said, if you're going to protest, we can tell you where and when, and we're going to put you in what is called a free speech zone, which is a cage, basically. And you can stand in there like a bunch of monkeys, rattle in the bars and yell all you want, but no one is listening. So physical protesting is passé, in my opinion, because of the police state.
Didn't those groups also on some level, weren't they basically hijacked and infiltrated?
Yes. One of the things that happened has happened not only in Occupy movements and Tea Party movements and every other movement, but it's happened in large protest movements in other countries, is that what they call black shirts come in, and they are the so-called anarchists who create the chaos, and they start breaking windows and vandalizing and stuff like that, and it makes the entire group look like that's what they're doing. So that's one method of hijacking, and that cannot be controlled by the group. Especially a nonviolent group is not going to react to violence with nonviolence, except to stand around and circle these people and say the whole world is watching and shame, 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 and all the things that they did. But that doesn't prevent that from happening.
Okay.
So people themselves have the ability to control the country, the message, the movement, simply by their non-action, non-compliance, non-participation, and that's what this movement is about.
Okay, so, all right, so go on, but I just wanted people to be clear about why that whole protest thing isn't working. And so,
well, I'll give you another example real quick, and that is when I as an individual first heard about the Occupy New York, Occupy Wall Street concept. Some friends of mine on a local level started our own Occupy group. It was called Occupy Sarasota, and it was in support of the general Occupy Wall Street concept. And those groups sprung up, as you know, as everybody knows, all over the country.
All over the world.
Few weeks, yes. And for the first few weeks, the media completely ignored the movement, and everyone was screaming, why can't we get any media attention? And the reason why that was because the media was working on their spin, on their way that they were going to put it out there, what this movement was about. And so it took them a little time to all agree and all send the memo from one media station to another to all have the same message. And the message was obvious from the beginning that these were a bunch of liberal idiots, useful idiots, they called them. These were people who didn't have a job, were lazy, and didn't want to work and just want money. And they're, defecating on the streets, and they're, causing trouble and vandalizing and causing trouble for businesses, and all the things that they said that were not true. But because the media says it, everyone at home who is not an active participant immediately believes it because they believe the misleadia. So what happened was immediately the whole concept was degraded by the media, and I watched it from the street. I mean, I was on the street. We had hundreds of people who came out early for the movement, and they were every walk of life, and grandmas and grandpas, and people who were concerned for their country. And before you knew it, the misleadia got them to look bad, and so they started staying home in droves. It wasn't about, being afraid of the police or anything else. We had the police come and hang out with us in our group. So the misleadia is very good at what they do. If they're for you, they promote you. If they're not, they make you look like crazy people.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is the blowback from that. And if you are a true activist, and I have been one all my life, and if you truly believe in the truth, and you truly believe in a constitutional republic, United States that we're supposed to be living in, which we're not, then you have to keep going. And the only way to keep going is to keep reinventing yourself and keep doing any kind of submarine tactics that you can do to thwart the government and the police departments and everybody else and the mega corporations and all of them. So basically, the other solution is to stop supporting what they are trying to do. And the way to do that is both with your money and with your active participation. So if you don't believe the government is representing you anymore, then you stop letting them be your representatives. You stop allowing them to do what they arbitrarily decide to do. And that is by withdrawing your economic participation, your financial participation, and your physical participation with non-compliance and non-participation.
Okay, Lori, we're coming up on our first break, so we'll continue this discussion when we come back. This is Morning Brew on the Orion Talk Radio Network and 1650 AM, Tonawanda, New York. This is the very first Lazy Dissident show. So thank you for joining us. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show, Lori.
Thanks for doing this, Glenn. It's a time that's come and needs to happen. We started this Lazy Dissident with a Facebook page, group page. So anyone who wants to and is on Facebook can go to facebook.com Lazy Dissident, and also we have a website, lazydissident.com. All of it's very simple. The simplicity of this movement is what is going to make it more effective than a lot of other things people have tried. And the reason I say that is because there are simple solutions to the hold of debt slavery that most people in this country have found themselves in. And there is a reason why everyone is in debt slavery, because that's the way the system is designed. And it didn't start out that way. And I'm not against the American government system. What I am against was everything that happened as a result of the creation of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 and the creation of the IRS, which was created to fund to pay the interest on the debt created by the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, because all money since that time is created as debt.
Right.
And it is created by the Federal Reserve, and it is loaned to the government by use of bonds, and the money is designed to be used for the operation of the government, and it is designed to be paid back via income tax collection to pay the debt back. And at this point now, we are at least, that they admit to, $16 trillion.
So we can
$16 trillion in debt.
Yeah, we need to just assume by the nature of the beast that that's probably an understatement.
Right. What they don't talk about is what is called unfunded debt. The unfunded debt is pension plans and Social Security and Medicaid and all of the debts that the government will incur in the not-too-distant future that has already been created as debt just by virtue of these unfunded programs. And so that amount is over $100 trillion. And so when you add it all up, each man and woman in America, each person in America is $360,000 in debt to the Federal Reserve and the federal government because of the Federal Reserve at this point. So your unborn children already are in debt. And so in order for this to stop, it isn't about the rampant spending of the federal government. That is a problem, correct. But what is the problem is the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 was originally created as a 100-year or 99-year contract with the federal government of the United States. And in 2013, many say 2012, but in 2013, at the beginning of the year, that contract was supposed to be up. But unfortunately for everyone, Barack Obama extended it for 50 years. and the Congress signed off on it. So the only way that we're ever going to get out of debt is not by stopping the federal government from overspending. That is a moot point. The only way we're going to get out of debt is if we go back to the way that the original founding fathers created this country, and that was that the federal government, via the Treasury and the Congress, created its own money, and that money was backed by gold or silver or the goodwill of the country and its assets. And so those were called greenbacks. And greenbacks were our form of currency all the way through until 1913. It came and went a couple of times because the banksters got other Federal Reserve type creations along the way, and different presidents came along and undid that, and then they came back and they did it again. So we're still under that one. And so the way to do this, the way to undo all of this, is to undo the Federal Reserve Act of 1913.
Lori, I think what a lot of people don't understand is that whoever controls the food and the money controls everything. And we have a foreign corporation called the Federal Reserve with their foreign corporation, the IRS being their collection agency, that have basically hijacked the financial well-being of this country. And I don't know why it is so difficult for people to understand that that is the core of what is going on with the financial situation in this country. And what creates the debt is that they're buying the money from the Federal Reserve Bank at dollar value plus interest. And so every time you spend a Federal Reserve note, you're contributing to the demise of the economic well-being of this country.
Well, that's exactly correct. And this has been a slow and steady plan. Most people do not understand because most people weren't even taught this in school. It was sort of glossed over. The Treasury and the Federal Reserve and all these terms were just sort of glossed over, and most kids in school could really give a big rat's butt about how the economics of the country works when they're 15, 16, 17 years old, and they go through econ in high school. So it's the responsibility of every single person in this country who pays taxes and lives here to understand and know how their government and their economics of their country works.
Now, Lori,
so
if people...
what every single person needs to do is they need to sit down and they need to simply Google the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, and first and foremost, they need to understand that the Federal Reserve Bank is not officially a part of the federal government of the United States. That's the first thing they need to understand. The Federal Reserve Bank is no different than Federal Express that comes around and delivers packages. It's
Lori,
an independent company.
I'd like to interject right here, because if people would organize local lazy dissident groups, you could educate the group about this and do, just do a meeting that does nothing but educate people about what has created this problem and what the facts are. And that is one of the beauties of these individual groups. This is Morning Brew on the Orion Talk Radio Network in 1650 AM Tonawanda, New York. The Lazy I am your host, Gwen Caldwell. It is the Lazy Dissident Show today. I am on Facebook /Morning Brew on Orion Talk Radio. You can go there and like the page, stay abreast of all of my upcoming guests, any giveaways, or other pertinent information. So please go there and click the like button. If you would like to contact me, with questions, comments, guest suggestions, or if you'd like to be a guest at morningbrew@hotmail.com, or you can click the Contact Us button at www.morningbrew.webs.com. Also, I'd like to let everyone know that the guests that I have on my show, I always post a link to their website if they've got one in my Morning Brew links on that links page. So you can always go back there and get more information about the guests that I have on this show. Okay, Lori, well, welcome back to the show. So what we've covered so far is organize within your own community. It's kind of a leaderless resistance. Lazy dissidents don't have to get up and go out in the streets. They just have to stop participating. And we really need to make an effort to get people educated about what's causing the problem. But the lazy dissident is about more than that. It's about networking internationally as well as nationally, and starting state groups. And I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about that and how people can be involved in that.
Okay. The easiest and fastest way to become a lazy dissident is to go on Facebook and or join our group page, and it's simply just called Lazy Dissident. The second thing is there is an event link up on there, and the event is used to have people come forward who want to create their own pages and their own groups in their own communities and states. We'd like to have somebody come forward from each state and create a state group, just so we show the powers that be that we have power in every state and support in every state in the country. The second thing is that we utilize the Lazy Dissident Facebook page and the website, lazydissident.com, to disseminate information about activities and about how you can get yourself off the grid and off the treadmill. And any group actions that we are collectively coming up with, such as boycotts or local events in different communities, we can help disseminate the information for that as well. The idea behind Lazy Dissident, and the reason, we all know what the word dissident means. It means people who are opposed to the way things are being run. And the word lazy is people that don't want to do anything. And so we put those words together to show that you don't have to go out and put a target on your back by being a protester. You don't have to even let the government, identify you as somebody who is opposed to them by being out on the street with a sign, because all of the things that we're asking people to do are all things that they can do from the comfort of their own environment, whether it be in their community, in their neighborhood, or in their easy chair at home. And so that's where the concept for Lazy Dissident comes from. The idea for Lazy Dissident comes out of frustration for not being able to do the things that typically we've been able to do in this country and that we have laws to allow us to do since this country was created, and that is to redress our grievances to our government via using our voices to vocalize, to protest. And we can't really do that anymore without facing rubber bullets, arrest, and pepper spray.
Well, and people too, the petitions, I think, are an absolutely worthless effort. And and I advocate calling and writing to your legislators. But when you start signing these mass petitions, I really don't. I think they go in file 13, they go in the shredder, whatever. It's not effective. You have to, what they care about are votes and money. And so you have to hit them in an area that matters to them. And you, the people, all you are is a tool to make them more money or give them more power. So when you start stepping back away from that power, you quit giving them that power and you quit feeding the power machine and the corporations, it kind of puts the skids on things. A lot more effective than signing petitions.
Well, yes, absolutely. Petitions have become worthless because most petitions have been deemed not able to be traced because people do it online and they're not willing to, actually sign their name on a piece of paper physically. People don't go door to door anymore and meet people and have them sign a piece of paper. It's all done digitally, with technology. And so anybody can click on a petition and they can live in India for all we know. And so the government just totally throws those out. They're just used for numbers. So the method that we're trying to promote is very simple. If you understand that the government's banking system, the Federal Reserve and the national banking system, and we already know, we've already been told that the FDIC is broke. So we already know that these banks are not going to be bailed out by the FDIC anymore, and that means your deposits in the bank are no longer covered fully by the FDIC. If the bank started to fail, FDIC has failed. So that's one thing that you need to understand, that the banking system is completely corrupted and it is also completely broke. The derivatives market and all that stuff that you've been hearing about that you've never taken the time to really fully learn about and understand because it just seems too big, too hard to understand. It is hard to understand, and they've done that way on purpose, so that you won't understand it. So you'll just keep going along with the system and hoping that these people know what they're doing. Well, they don't know what they're doing. But the one thing they are doing is that they're bankrupting our country. And when you see countries that are physically bankrupted, like Greece and Iceland and all these other countries, the only reason we aren't officially bankrupted yet is because they haven't announced it. We're broke.
Well,
we're bankrupt.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we've been bankrupt since 1933, and it's only gotten worse. Lori, I think it was a year ago, I said on my show that we need to, if every single person, for every person in your household went out and bought 1 physical ounce of silver, and that would not cost you more than $30 a person or $32 a person, something like that. And you, for 1 week, did not participate. You completely went on strike, and you withdrew every penny you had in the bank. It would stop this. I mean, in a week, it would be done. It would be done. Well,
everybody has to do it at the same time. That is the reason why we're trying to build as many numbers of people who understand this concept as fast as we can and as realistically as we can, because it doesn't help to boycott if only 3 people do it.
Right, exactly.
But it sure does help to boycott if everybody does it.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of the Lazy Dissident concept, is that if everybody agrees together, today's the day we're not going to buy gasoline. Today's the day that we're not going to buy anything from Walmart. Today's the day we're not. Go ahead.
Lori. Okay, well, welcome back to the show, Lori. I want to talk about we were talking during the break. This is a movement that you are not going to see on the mainstream media. You are not going to be seeing people pepper sprayed. You are not going to see people being hauled off and handcuffed and beat up by the police, shot at with rubber bullets, getting your heads bashed in with batons and that kind of thing. What you are going to see in this movement is the quiet resignation of participation, which shuts the machine down. And I tell you what, it was such a happy, glorious moment for me last week when Walmart was whining about how their profits have dropped. Oh, good. Hopefully people are waking the hell up and not supporting that place anymore. Yay. I could care less. Walmart has put so many privately owned small businesses out of business, totally gone in and just destroyed entire downtown business areas with their undercutting on the prices and their Chinese-made stuff. So, this is good news for me when I see Walmart is losing profits. Yay, good for us. That's a win.
Well, Gwen, it's like this. We all have been hearing, those of us that are awake and aware, have all been seeing and hearing for years now that the revolution will not be televised. And this movement itself is the true result of the revolution will not be televised. You will see it on TV if it's effective and if you participate in non-participation, non-compliance, and non-violent, this non-violent organization. You will see it televised, but you will see it televised in ways that Gwen just talked about. Oh, Walmart is losing money. Oh, Walmart is not making as much money. Walmart, for example, is the largest retailer in the world. And so when you have the largest monopoly of retailers in the world, it used to be Sears, it used to be Penny's, but now it's Walmart. And so the whole idea is that by non-participation and non-compliance, we will not obey. You can protest without them ever even knowing. It's completely anonymous by your inaction, who's doing what and who's zooming who. Their whole plan, and you either are going to believe me when I say this or you are not going to believe me. But I need you to listen to what I'm saying from your heart and not from your mind. Because your mind has been infiltrated, whether you like it or not, by the propaganda and the indoctrination that you have been unable to disengage from for your whole life. No matter how old you are, you have been under a form of propaganda and a form of indoctrination your entire life if you live in the United States of America or any Western country. So what I'm about to tell you will make no sense. But it is the absolute agenda that they have, and that agenda is to crush the economic power of the United States of America, to equalize the greatest country in the world, according to us, with all of the other countries that are in trouble. And the reason why they want to do that is because economic power is the ultimate power. And in order for them to bring in their one world government, which they've all told you they're trying to do, I'm not making that up. They're trying to implement their one world government. They're trying to implement their one world economy and their one world religion and their one world order. And the reason why they need to crush the United States of America, and they're doing a damn good job of it, is because we're the only power left that needs to be crushed so that the UN, the Agenda 21, the New World Order can implement their programs. Now, if you want to live in total communism, which is what this is, it's disguised completely, but that's what it is. If you want to live that way, that's where you're headed. I, for one, do not choose to live that way. And I am praying to you all that you will hear this message of the Lazy Dissident Movement and non-participation, non-compliance, because you need to join with us. And you need to do the same things we're doing in your own way. There's no rule, there's no law, there's no leadership. You need to do the same things in your own way that we're all doing in order to buckle these people to their knees and take away their financial independence and put the financial independence back in our hands. And we need to also work on interdependence. And that means you, your friends, your neighbors, and your community need to work together to take their power back.
Well, and Lori, there's so many alternatives to supporting these conglomerates. You and I were talking during the break. Why would you go to a store and pay $50, $60, $70 for something that you can go to the secondhand store or the consignment store or a garage sale or an auction and get for a fraction of the money? Not only does that put more money in your pocket, but it takes the money out of their pocket. Why do you keep participating? And the tax thing, taxes on income are different than taxes on wages. You are being taxed on your wages because you signed a contract with them called a W-4 form to be a voluntary taxpayer. All of these things keep feeding the machine so that they can keep grinding you up into Soylent Green. Wake up.
Well, exactly. And also, when you really start to be involved in this concept and in this movement, and you start to do one thing and then the next thing, it becomes completely as addictive as consumerism does.
I know.
You learn to be an anti-consumer, and they're choking you at the neck and they're choking you at the waist, economically. So the only way that you can fight back is to consume less. Well, if you choose what you consume instead of listening to the latest commercials on the television of what, go buy, go get this, go, you have to have one of these in order to be cool. The coolest people I know are the people who understand that consumerism on a global scale is bad for the world.
Right.
If it's bad for the world, then it's bad for humans. If it's bad for humans, then it's bad for you. So stop even thinking about being a consumer and start being a creator. And the way to be a creator is to create your own food independence, create your own lifestyle independence off of the grid and off of the treadmill. And let me give you a little advice that most people aren't brave enough to give you. The way that you're going to fund this initially, and the way you're going to get ahead of the rest of the goobers and the sheeple out there who aren't getting it, is you're going to stop paying this money to the government and to the banksters and to the grid, and you're going to start using those same dollars that you're saving by not paying them to create your own independence. You're going to go out and you're going to buy bales of hay so you can start a hay bale garden in your yard and buy some seeds. You're going to go out and maybe buy a solar battery thing so that you can power something that takes you off the grid just a little bit. All of the things that you can do, and it is so unbelievable how much of this information is available on the internet and on YouTube.
Right.
And if you come to the Lazy Dissident webpage and you come to the Lazy Dissident Facebook page, you will see all of our people are posting one after another valid ideas to get you off of the grid, to get you off of the treadmill. Come up with a way that you can create a cash job that you can do, whether it's a jobby to start with, meaning a hobby or something that you have mastered, that you're good at, that you can make money off of. And start out doing that so that pretty soon when you lose your freaking job, if you still are fortunate enough to have one,
you still have
you've already created a backup that you can do in your community and your neighborhood for cash or for barter.
Okay.
There are our time banks, too, everywhere.
Lori, that is our show for today. Thank you for joining me. Be an anti-consumer.